I was coming to church. There was problems at work affecting me to come to church every Sunday and Wednesdays when I wanted to be here. So it was a court case. Something happened in 2004 where I had applied for, I did not apply. I was given a passport for my son and I had it renewed and it was wrong. That was in 2004. And my son got it. They sent him back home. He came back on that passport. And I kept saying to him he should not, and the whole long story with myself and him. In any case, I made another mistake by being pressured into taking out this car insurance from my daughter-in-law and putting his name on it where it was wrong, it was his name. So he was stopped by the police and everything, and because of my address, that's where I was dragged into it. I did not say anything to Bishop. I kept coming to church, and then at work it was preventing me, and I kept praying and praying. And I stayed away from church for I think it was about 2 months. I came one Sunday, and I felt really uncomfortable here. And I kept praying and praying, and you know, it's like everybody was looking to me in a way. I don't know if I was being paranoid or anything. I never said it to anybody. I left church quickly, went into my car, and I screamed out. I said, "Satan, you're a liar," and I started to cry. I drove off and I went home, and I kept singing and praising and worshiping God. I kept continuing coming to church. I spoke to Bishop now as it was coming because I had to be attending the police station every so often. I told my manager what was happening, and she said it was okay. I was a foster carer. The children were removed from the placement. This was just over a year. And even one of the the kids, he did not want to go. So I said, it's fine, you know, go on. And I kept coming with this, you know, all the time on my own. When it was coming now, I said, this got to be the final chapter. I've had enough. When I went to the station, they questioned me about the passport, and I just said, no, guilty, no comment to everything. I said, I leave this in the hands of God. You knows best. I was asked to return on the 6th of last month, and I was charged for theft and fraud of the insurance and the passport. That's when I approached Bishop. And, and Bishop said, what are you going to do? I said, Bishop, I'm going to plead guilty. And Bishop looked at me in a way, and there was silence.
I was silent because I said, what a courage.
And I said, Bishop, I've had enough. I just want everything over and done with. And he prayed for me, he prophesied, he said, you're going to get a suspended sentence. On Friday, well, during the campaign, I had to be at work, and mentally, it was a mental strain on me because my job, I work with ex-offenders and drug and alcoholics.
Can I just stop you? Let's understand here the case. She's very calm, as you can see. It's her personality, amen? She talks calmly. That's that person, okay? In the way she talks. She's got a job, a good job. She was working also as a foster. 2 jobs that she works with people, children and people. 2. She was prospering. But in the past, can you say the phrase in the past?
In the past.
She was seduced to do something that she should never have done, which is somebody's took a passport, okay, a real British passport, and decided to give it to her son as if it was himself. Are you there? Yes. That's a big, big, big crime. Not only in the UK, any country around the world, when you mess up with passport, identity, somebody else's identity. Her child grew up as that person which wasn't him. Right? Okay, I'm not going to judge A, B, C, D, nor her, because it was done in the ignorance. And when somebody comes and says, I'm going to do it for your child, then what happened is later in time, her son, whatever went outside the UK, And on return, instead of sending to the place of his birth, they sent him here because he had a British passport. Which even though was not him, he came back. She had renewed it, and that was one of her mistakes. Because many years ago, she was the one that renewed it for him. Right? Okay. Now, she had to take an insurance, and she also put her address and the name of her son. The police stopped, and everything came on her. You have applied for insurance in this name, which is your son, but is not of your son. You have done it with the passport, etc., etc. So she lost her children, even though she's a very good foster carer. You know, she was going through a lot of pressure. She was really stressed out, but she never stopped coming to the house of the Lord. Can you say that louder, please?
She never stopped coming to the house of the Lord.
Because it says, cry unto me, and I will answer thee. In the days of your distress and stress, cry unto me. And that's what she was doing. And one day she came and told me, and we prayed about it and we talked about it. Then she came back to me and she said, you know, I have had enough. I'm going to plead guilty because that is it. I will never tell you to plead guilty because the Bible says that God does not see your yesterday. Are you there? So it's about, that's why I didn't say, but she, out of her own decision, said, I'm going to do so. I said, listen, this is the year you can take. This is what the Lord says. I prophesy you're going to get suspended sentence. Say hallelujah. That's what I said. It's a serious thing. On the natural, say the phrase, please. She should not be here today. On the natural, she would be behind bars right now. But we don't serve a natural God. We serve a supernatural God. We serve a God that can change the heart and the minds of any church. We serve a powerful God. And when we cry unto Him with a sincere heart, and that is the point. That is the point. With a sincere heart, she cried unto God. And what happened on Friday when you went there to be sentenced? You know, she would be sentenced, and let's say they say 5 years in jail. You know what happened? Automatically, she would be taken to a cell. Are you there? Are you there? Do you understand what I'm saying to you? So she went there, and I remember that you said, my lawyer is not doing nothing. Remember that?
Yes, I did say so.
You said, my lawyer's not doing nothing. Because I asked her. And she said, he's not doing anything. Let me ask you something. What happened on Friday?
On Friday, when I got there, I saw a barrister. And he asked me, he said, I don't have the police, the interview statement here about the passport. I said, I wasn't questioned about the passport. It was all based on the insurance. This was like for 8 months, and coming to the end, then he even went as far as bringing up my kids' passport copies from the passport office. And I said he did not ask me. But finally, when he did ask about signatures and everything, I went no comment. So on Friday, that's what I told the barrister, and he was like the devil. He said, oh, this is like 18 to 24 months.
That's what the barrister said. You know, I give you 18 to 24 months. That's what the barrister said. Your barrister. Her barrister.
Yes, he was very negative, and I kept praying to myself, and he went through, he asked me questions, and I told him, because what the policeman done, he had painted a really bad picture. He said I had applied for this passport at the beginning, which that was not true. So I said, this is not true.
It's like
so
he was working against you.
Yeah. So my eldest daughter called. I did not say anything to her. All she knew, I had to be reporting to the police. She never knew that I was charged or anything. I told Rashid, and I had spoken to her in confidence. nothing is going to happen to mommy, I'm coming back home. She said, have you seen these people before? I said, no, Rashida. In any case, Renisha called me, Mom, where are you? And then my mouth slipped, oh, I'm at the court. I knew it, and she started screaming. I said, Renisha, please, please, I have to give some papers, I'm coming back home. Then Rashida called and said, Renisha wants to make me cry, Mommy, why did you tell her? I said, it's fine, I'm coming home, Rashida. Then he went inside and he came back, oh, I need some phone numbers from you. I said, what for? He said, I need to contact people. Where is your daughter? Who is looking after the 13-year-old? I said, my friend stayed over, she's looking after her. Is there anybody who's going to take her? He was forced, you were going to prison today. And I sat there and I kept praying and I prayed.
Listen, at the same time that I, in spirit, don't agree with that barrister, but have you heard what a doctor says? I have to tell you the truth. Yes. Even though he was being quite negative, because he could have said we're going to try our utmost best. But he was in his natural eye, he was perceiving that the case was so serious that she would stay in there. And when he used the remark of women, you know, you women tend to look at each other a bit funny, isn't it? You know that. You know that. Women look at another woman like, You see what I'm saying to you? So he was using it. But I'm telling you that what she was doing, because she could, you know, come to that level that she says, this is it, God, I accept it. But she was in the faith. Can you say in the faith? In the faith. She was speaking the opposite of what was happening. Amen. She was talking as God talks. She was thinking as God thinks. She was trying to see as God sees. But let me tell you, this campaign works. This campaign works. Say hallelujah. From the very moment she took the envelope to fulfill, she came under the anointing. Say hallelujah. Nobody in this world could see, but the devil could see. No one could perceive the anointing, but Satan knows who is and who is not under the anointing. And she was under the anointing. Satan and all the devil was trying to put her behind bars, but my God, in whom I trust, was there for her. All right? No, I'm not making it any worse. As a matter of fact, it was as simple as I'm saying in the spirit, but as hard as she cannot explain in the physical.
It was really difficult for me.
A lot of stress.
I've got sisters in America. I did not say anything to them. One of them called me and I called her and she's kind of cold, and I thought to myself, every time she's upset, this is how she behaves. So she heard something about when I was charged. So I said to her, whatever you hear about me, it's not that I want to say anything. I'm not hiding it. All I'm asking for you is to pray for me. This is all I need. I don't want to talk about it, just pray for me. Because my family, you know, when you tell them things, it wants to cry and it tends to make me feel more depressed. My brother did not even know that I attended court on Friday. I just went on my own. One friend, she knew what was happening and she said, Carol, I am coming. I said, it's fine, I'll go by myself. I jumped in a taxi and I went, and she turned up at the court. So when he was asking the barrister about these phone numbers, I said, I don't have any numbers. So I said, my friend, she's coming. So when she turned, he said, oh, this is Charmin, okay. And then he said, well, Charmin, she's going to take Rashida. When he said, are you ready? I said, yes. And we went into the court. And the prosecutor, he started reading out the charge and everything. And then he tried to link my brother with the name on the birth certificate. And that could have been stirred up, but the judge, she did not even say anything about that. My barrister said I had written a letter. I had the letters from the church and one of my friends, and he said he was going to read the letter that I had written to her. And she said, I'm going to read all the letters. And she took them, and she was going through them. She took her time.
And one of the letters I said I want to be personal. From me to her. I want to, not the church, I want to put my name there. I want to do it. Because you know what? You know what? I am with you in good days, but I'm even more with you in bad days. I'm your pastor. I stand for you. Say hallelujah. So she decided to read all the letters.
She read all the letters, and she asked the barrister, what was the question she asked? About for how many children I had supported, and he said about 15 children. And she said, has her license been reviewed? And he said he don't know. And her words was, I hope they review her license, because she's been a good member of the community. And she said this sentence, and then she said this is a 12 to 18 months custodial sentence. She said, but I'm not going to give it to you. She did not mention about paying any fine. I had prayed against that. When I started the campaign, one of the first requests is for me to walk free from court so I can continue being in the house of the Lord. And that's exactly what happened.
12 to 18, you could be in jail now.
Yes.
And she decided to say, I'm not going to send you to jail.
No.
You are free to go.
Yes.
And on Friday?
I came to church and I told Sister Alicia
and when?
Faustina.
Well, Faustina saw. It was such a personal fight. Because I said, God, show to these people that this campaign is not out of my idea, but is out of your revelation. And that's why I wanted her, in the midst of this campaign, to give a testimony. When you told me, how did I go? I just busted into tears of joy. I could not stop. I could not stop. I had to, take my time to compose myself to come to this church, because I was so happy for her freedom, and I was happy because everything passes, but the word of God never passes. I saw a miracle. You see, you don't know that, because some of you don't know what freedom is. Only when you go behind a praise, a bar, that you cannot. I want to go to the cinema, you can't. I want to see this person, you can't. I want to have some sun, you can't. You can't. You have to stay there and be like, an animal. Be treated like an animal. You don't know what is to be in that praise. Are you there? But God said, this place is not made for her. Amen. I saw faith in her. So you came from court, came to church.
Yes, Bishop.
So you're free.
I'm free in Jesus' name. And another thing, because of all the stress that was happening, I went to my GP and I was getting pain in my body, and especially my knee, because some Sundays when I was coming to church, I was getting like some electric shock in my knees, and I was like just limping coming in. So I went to my GP. I took 1 week off work, that self-cert, and I went, and my actual GP, he gave me 1 week. And I remembered I said I want to be a part of this Jesus Defy Fridays. Amen. So I went, and there was another GP there, and I said the pain is, still there, and I told them about the court case, and I'm really stressed out. She gave me tablets to sleep and everything, and I said, can I have some more time off from work? And she gave me 4 weeks, and I said, thank you, Jesus, I will be a part of this Holy Bonfire campaign as well. So I'm due back at work on the 17th of this month. My managers came to see me the day before I went to court, and they said they really need me, and because of my experience and everything. And he said, when you go to court, I said, well, I'm sure I'll be fine after the court, because I will be coming back home. and he said I should ask my GP if I can come to work next week. He said, Carol, even if it's for 2 days. And I said, okay.
So you have a job.
Yes.
Now you have a break, but you have a job.
Yes.
Say hallelujah. What do you have to say to Jesus?
Thank you, Jesus.
Say, I'm free.
I'm free.
In Jesus' name. Say hallelujah.